Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 92, with another member of the other member of the Outfielders. Super excited for this one. Shea McCoy be joining us. Another interview. The Outfielders are tough to get. They don't do a lot of podcasts, so I'm very thankful and grateful they're doing this. Not only are they amazing professional wrestlers and entertainers and all of that great things and great people, but they also have a lot of passions outside of the business that I'm very passionate about as well. So I know you guys listened to a little bit of the Weber one where we talked video games and baseball, but I'm not a huge baseball person. But but this one's, if you like spooky, you're gonna enjoy this one. We're gonna talk all things spooky. If you want, please go check the links below to support all things ABJ, whether it be grab some merchandise or some t-shirts. Follow me on social media. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It helps out so much to get the algorithm pushing and getting new eyes on the content, as well as hitting subscribe. We're getting really close to, I believe, 800 subscribers. I'm not sure when this airs how close we are, but the goal is 1K by the end of the year. If we could do that, that'd be fantastic. Super close with the watch hours and stuff like that to be monetized. So we'll make these big corporations pay the small guy like me to make content. That would be the dream. But also links below for everything for my guests, whether it be merchandise, social medias to follow them, and all of that great stuff and stuff we talk about. We'll throw links in if it's something we're passionate about and want people to go explore or check out. So without further ado, let me bring in my guest, Shea McCoy. What's going on?
Hi, Anthony.
Super excited for this. We had a little choppy on that. Well, it's one of us, but listen, it's Pennsylvania. We're technology's behind. We'll figure
I'll
it out.
accept blame. I understand. I'm a little outdated. It's cool.
Yeah. So how you been?
I've been okay. I've been busy. How are you?
I'm been busy. Life has been a roller coaster, we'll say, but we're hanging in there and just trying to stay busy, make content, and have some fun. But as of the date of this recording, it is the beginning of the spooky season, so I'm not sure when this will air for everybody. But we're in the heart of it. This is our time to shine. Are you excited for the beginning of October?
It is. I've been ready for spooky season. I feel like it's already started kind of like back in August. It starts a little bit earlier every single year, but it was like end of August. I kid you not. Can I curse on the podcast?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay, I shit you not. I went to see the Barbie movie, came out of the theater, and you want to know the very first thing that I saw across from the parking lot? This is in like the first week of the Barbie movie coming out or something, because this was more like July. Spirit Halloween was right across the street from the theater, so I was like, I think I gotta go in. I think if the Barbie movie has taught me anything, it is to be kind to my inner child, and my inner child wants to go in Spirit Halloween. So
yes, I have yet to see Barbie. It's on my list. I think I'm waiting for it to hit streaming.
Fantastic. I don't blame you, but I know everyone's thinking Oppenheimer's gonna win all the Oscars. Ryan Gosling needs that Best Actor Oscar for just how silly and ridiculous this man. I loved this man so much in this movie. It's truly the character he was born to play.
It was it's really funny because like that same week or same month, it was like we're gonna hit this nostalgia for maybe the young females with the Barbie movie, and then a couple weeks later we're gonna hit the younger male demographic with the Ninja Turtles, and I was like, they are just scratching everyone's nostalgic itch, which is amazing. And I seen Ninja Turtles. I didn't see Barbie, but Turtles was great, man. I love that one too. I just love how they made them kids again, and like a true origin movie for the most part.
Have you seen also, as spooky season is approaching, that they've been promoting more like Op and Barbie like sort of stuff, like the Taylor Swift documentary and the new Exorcist movie are coming out on the same day?
I have not seen that.
Get ready for Exorcist.
Yeah, Extra Swift. Well, Taylor Swift has taken over everything. It's just all things pop culture and now sports. It's like touchdown. Let's see what Taylor thinks of the touchdown. She's just up there. Oh, you there? Little connection issues. We'll work through.
Stream doesn't like Taylor. We understand.
Yeah. But yeah, someone put a post out saying, like, just being funny, saying that NFL still winning over Taylor, but they're like, NFL Twitter followers or social media followers, all the teams together, social media followers, all of the players in the league total social media followers, and it was like 329 million total for the NFL and like 279 million for Taylor Swift. Like NFL still wins, but we're not going to count that she's just one person.
Holy crap.
Yeah, she's
That is
only like
actually
100 million
insane.
away from the NFL and every player involved in it and team.
A mere 100 million. She'll reach that.
Yeah,
I believe in her.
which is
She could really use the support.
bonkers. Yeah, bonkers that one person is just taking over the world like that.
Ooh, and the one I'm more excited about after we get through Extra Swift, new Saw comes out at the same time as Paw Patrol. So get ready for Saw Patrol. That's where you'll find me.
Is there anything that, like, I have been so behind with moving and figuring things out and re-getting streaming services and stuff like that, but is there any movies that have come out that you haven't really seen yet?
We just mentioned it when we were talking about movies that we want to see. I still have to see Talk to Me. Everyone said really good things about it. Saw 10, I'm going to suffer through just because I love the Saw movies so much, and Tobin Bell is back, and I think Shawnee Smith is also back in it too, so like that's high up on my list. But as for any other movies, I don't know. I don't think I've kept up too much with what other movies are coming out lately on streaming services. I had Netflix for a little while and completely spaced on what I was supposed to catch up on, so I just binged I Think You Should Leave for like 3 days.
That has become like a comfort food show where you just put it on and just let it play in the background.
That's exactly what I was doing. You can literally hear in the background of so many of my TikTok videos just like, we're all still trying to find the guy who did this. Every single video. For some reason, that was always the episode coming on.
Yeah, that Always Sunny, The Office, and Parks and Rec are on constant rotation.
I think before I threw on I Think You Should Leave, it was Always Sunny. And it was also always, for some reason with Always Sunny, it was always the Charlie Has Cancer episode. I don't know why.
It's such a. Have you been listening to that podcast, the Always Sunny podcast?
No, a little bit. I've heard like clips.
It's fucking magical. Like, start from the beginning and just listen through. It's so good.
I can't wait.
Glenn is the highlight, where he's just so annoyed all the time. And then,
I'm sure.
And then Mac's annoyed that Glenn's annoyed, and then Charlie just eggs on the fire the whole time.
I feel like the longer this show has gone on, the more they have just become the characters.
Yeah, 100%.
Unfortunately, for better or worse.
Yeah, but Charlie's like, I mean, I don't know if he's eating cheese out of the walls, but like, he's probably the most down to earth one. Another funny thing on that podcast, it's being Pennsylvania related, is like they'll be talking about things they did as kids and how like as just like really inappropriate things that boys do growing up, like playing sack whack and doing really weird things to each other. And Glenn and Charlie are like, we didn't do that in our school. And Glenn, Mac's like, I guess like a Pennsylvania thing. And I'm listening to my car like, we did that.
It honestly must be because I grew up in the age of Jackass, so that was definitely a thing, like stealing a shopping cart from the nearby grocery store and just throwing your friend down a hill. Like that was very normal. Trying to break each other's necks. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. This was also like kind of early internet, like as YouTube was starting to become a thing. So, you start filming it and throwing it on YouTube, and that's all that anybody wanted to see on YouTube in the early days. So
yeah. But the two horror movies that I didn't get a chance to see, but they're on my list, I'm probably gonna do them in an upcoming content, is I didn't see Barbarian. I heard everyone said that was really good. And the one with Ethan Hawke, a Black Phone.
Oh, Black Phone. I did watch Black Phone.
And was it good?
I did see that. I really liked it. Yes, it's very Stephen King reminiscent.
Okay.
Which I don't know who. I want to say Stephen King's son wrote it. I want to say it's based on a Joe Hill story, which would make a lot of sense. But I very much enjoyed it. Ethan Hawke's very creepy in it. The two main kids, the brother and sister, are also really, really good in it.
Yeah, and then I kind of like late to the party, but finished Stranger Things and fell in love with the character on season. Yes, fell in love with this character from season 3 into season 4, and I was like, man, like they are so good. Like they're my new favorite actor. And then I start researching them, and it's like my two, like Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter is just like I was like, she's fantastic. Like,
she really is. Not a horror movie, but Maya Hawke is also in a movie called Do Revenge.
Okay.
Highly
I'll definitely
recommend
check
Do
that out.
Revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. But
One more
she
horror
just
movie.
had a really funny.
Scream. Did you see the new Scream?
I did see New Scream, actually. Yes.
I fucking loved it.
It was a lot of fun. It's still not like the first Scream is probably my
Hands
favorite horror
down.
movie of all time. Yeah,
Yep.
if not like in a top 5 like favorite movies in general for me. So like nothing's really gonna beat it. But it was still a lot of fun. I don't want to spoil anything because it's still a pretty fresh movie. But that I had my apprehension about the ending and stuff like that. But
I
I'd
see.
watch
I
it
didn't
again.
like. What was it? That was 5, right? Those
No,
are
this was 6.
6. So
We're
I
up to
didn't
6,
like.
buddy.
I liked 5, but I hated the ending of 5. I
Oh
thought
yeah,
that was
ending of
so
5 was
lazy
bad.
and it was
So bad.
bad. But then
Pissed me off.
6 kind of made 5 better.
It cleaned it. It did what it could with how
Yeah.
awful the ending of 5 was.
Yeah. It made it like, oh, this makes a little more sense. I like. It was the first Scream movie where I was like genuinely invested in most of the characters as I was in
Yes.
part 1. And I think that's what made it special. But part 1 is literally like a deadlock tie for me for my all-time favorite horror movie with the original Halloween.
That's a good 2 picks. Those are 2 very good picks. I would say I'm tied between Scream and probably Candyman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a top 5 movie for me in general.
Original Dawn of the Dead is a very close 2.
Also very good. I like remake Dawn of the Dead though.
I did too. And I don't like Running Zombies, but
No,
Zach
but Dawn of the
what
Dead
is it?
did good running zombies.
What's his name makes really good zombie movies. Zach I'm gonna say Zach Miller, but that's not right.
I know who you're talking about, but
Batman dude. Did the Batmans. I'm terrible with this.
not Chris Nolan.
No, it's a Nolan though, right? Nolan?
Was it Chris Nolan?
I don't remember. No, it's
Snyder.
Is it Zack Snyder?
Zack Snyder.
That's
You're
it.
thinking
That's
of
it.
Zack.
Yeah, and not Batman. Nolan. Batman's. He did the DC universe we deserved but didn't get because everyone wanted Marvel movies and not DC movies.
Correct.
But no, the one he did with Batista was a good zombie movie where like Vegas is quarantined off and they go. It's like a heist zombie movie, the Army of the Darkness or Army of Dead or whatever.
I didn't see this one.
Oh my god, it's so good.
But
so
zombie
the premise
movie
of this,
with Batista?
yeah, so it's literally this premise is Las Vegas is completely quarantined, like it's completely barricaded off because the zombie outbreak happened and they were able to contain it out within Vegas. But everything in Vegas is still there, so people are breaking in to try to loot and steal money and get stuff out of Vegas to bring back out into the real world. And like Batista has to form this team and go in there and get it. The biggest talking point of that movie for a while was Chris D'Elia was in it, and they had to reshoot everything because that's when he got canceled.
When we found out he was a piece of shit. Yeah.
Which is a shame because he was so goddamn funny. You're like, why do you fucking ruin it? Theo Von better keep his nose clean. That's all I'm saying.
True. That's a very big fact that you just stated.
Yeah. If Theo Von does something bad, I'd be like, you know what? You ruined everything. There's no hope.
I'm leaving. I'm never picking up the phone ever again.
I think I should leave. I'm
gonna just leave. Yep.
Yeah. So let's dive into what we're here for today. Well, we really don't have an actual general thing, but you are a professional wrestler. I am killing it on the scene. You do singles work as well as tag team. Your tag team is a special place in my heart because my early days of this getting into the content and being part of the wrestling industry used to have always been super welcoming to me and always people I gravitated towards to have conversation with because you are like the perfect mix of two people of everything I'm into, whether it be sports and nerdy and pop culture and all that stuff. So I always kind of gravitated towards the cool kids table, as I say. But I always had a great conversation. In my heart, you're the cool kids table.
Never in my
the whole locker room is the cool kids table. I mean, technically, the Camp Leapfrog days was a blast.
It was a good collection of people, yes, definitely. And a lot of those same people are still at High Tension now, so I'm glad that a lot of us are still working together.
Yeah, I completely agree. Most of this interview this season's towards the end here have all been High Tension Camp Leapfrog people because you guys are a very big special place in my heart. But when did you find the world of professional wrestling? How early of an age were you like, this is what I'm into? I watched my first match and kind of it hooked you in.
Whew, sheesh. I wasn't super into wrestling as a kid, actually. Like a lot of pro wrestlers are. Uh, I was a kid during the Attitude Era, so like I knew of it through other kids. Like I knew who Sting was and I knew who DX was and kind of just like the big names. But I was not really actively watching wrestling or anything. I didn't get into wrestling probably until like my teenage years. Like, I want to say it was closer to like 2009, 2010. And it was just because, well, I was a theater kid first, which it probably doesn't surprise anybody. I was a theater kid and I was a dancer, so sort of kind of an athlete. And I just never really felt like I fit in with that crowd. Like something never felt quite right. Like I love performing, but it didn't seem to click the way that I wanted it to. So I came downstairs one night and my brother had Monday Night Raw on and I was like, "Why are you watching pro wrestling? Like what is going on here?" And he's like, "I don't know. I just wanted to check it out. Seemed like fun." And you know, when you first start watching wrestling, they kind of get like bit by that bug and then suddenly you're watching wrestling like 3 and 4 nights a week and practicing moves on each other. And I decided, you know what? Pro wrestling is kind of the combination of like the athletics and the theater and everything that I always really liked. So after years of being a fan, I started Googling schools and was like, I want to learn how to do this for myself. I think I could do it. And I
Who are
did.
who are some performers that you latched onto early on that you're like, oh, these are like some of your favorites?
I started watching Raw when Randy Orton was trying to kill John Cena every single week. It was Dynasty Randy Orton or like was that the name of the trio that he had with Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr.?
Legacy. Was it called Legacy? Yeah.
Legacy. I fucking loved Legacy. That was great. When Triple H broke into Randy's house, I think that was like one of the early like first episodes that I watched. Was Triple H breaking into Randy's house, and I was like, "This is awesome! I love everything about this." And then, of course, I went back and watched a lot of what I would have missed as a kid, and watched a ton of Lita matches, a ton of China, and those are still like two of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Like I think what really pushed me to want to try wrestling for myself was when China enters at number 30 in the Royal Rumble. I think it's either like 99 or 2000, something like that. But it's after she eliminates Vince McMahon on Raw, so she gets the number 30 spot. And she gets like this incredible pop when she comes out and then eliminates Mark Henry. And I was just like, I want to do that. I want
Do you
to
think
do what
do you think there'll
she
ever be anybody in the scene that like we have a lot of people who could be the next China when it comes to
we
just
do.
look and presence and size and strength. And I don't want to say this in like I'm saying it in I guess your average wrestling fan terms, but I don't buy into it because I know professional wrestling is all about the story and selling a character, but the believability of a China where you're like you look at her, you're like, oh, she would kill somebody, like man or woman. China would kill them, you know what I mean? And we have that
Yes,
now with your Rias and your Biancas and your Jades and your Nayas but
a thousand
the
percent.
problem is there's such that barrier now. And I see both sides of the spectrum. I see why some people don't like the intergender stuff. I see why it's a bad thing for some and I love it on the other, where some people grow up in domestic violence, so they see two people fighting and it's a triggering
Sure.
thing. I get all that 100%, but it would be nice to see every now and then maybe they get really close with Rhea now, where it's like she'll attack a male wrestler and it's right there. Like, but if Rhea comes in and like enters, like Nia entered the men's Royal Rumble, and it was kind of like it was a goof spot where they just all gave her
Hmm.
the finishers and stuff. But that would be the only thing I think that would separate that next person to being China, because China like held the IC title. She like, you know what I mean? Like she was holding
Like three
belts.
times. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I think Rhea and now Jade there. That's insane. Like Raquel too. Raquel's another one we don't talk about, but she's
Right.
like a bodybuilder, strong. But yeah, but China was so special. I actually met China. I met her at a horror convention in
I'm so jealous.
in Pittsburgh. Well, don't get too jealous because it wasn't a great experience. Not on
I'm
China's part though,
sorry.
but it was. She was rough. It was rough.
Yeah.
And nobody was at her table. So I remember coming into the con, and the spots that day was Adam West, Burt Ward, and Julie Newmar all were there. And I stood
Okay,
in line
sure.
with my buddy to meet Adam West, and I didn't want anything
Got
signed.
it.
So I didn't have any money, and I wasn't paying $100 for Adam West, even though I love Batman. And I just wanted to hear his voice. I wanted to hear it in person, and he didn't say a word to anybody. Like he would just like his handler would hand him, he would sign it and hand it back. He wouldn't even look up at people, and I was very disappointed. And I'm like, well,
God
who else
damn.
is here? And it was in Monroeville, and I always wanted to be in Monroeville. Huge Dawn of the Dead fan, so I'm like, this is
Right.
amazing. So I'm looking around, and I don't know if it was just like the horror god spoke to me, but I look over and Tom Savini is sitting there,
Shut
and I go,
up.
that's where my money's going. So we go
You're
over to Tom
right.
Savini, and I'm going through all of his posters, and he's like, what are you looking for? And I go, there's only one poster in this town that I'm going to get autographed by you, and it's Dawn of the Dead. And he's like, I think there's one left. And it was like on the very bottom, and I got him to sign it. I no longer have it, unfortunately, but it was like my grail. I got to talk to him for a while, and then we're walking over, and my ex at the time seen Ralph Macchio, and this is pre anything Ralph Macchio resurgence. So like nobody was near him.
Right.
So we just went up and talked to him, and he was just playing his fantasy baseball. And we talked to Ralph Macchio for like an hour, and he just hung out because nobody cared Ralph Macchio was there, because this is the before the resurgence. And I look over, and I honestly didn't even recognize her, and I was like I didn't even have a banner above her or nothing. I was like, that's China. And they're like, I don't know who that is. And I went over, and I was like, hey, listen, I just want to say thank you for like my childhood. You are amazing, the whole nine. And right before she got to even answer, like she smiled, and then before she got to answer, her handler's like, if you're not paying money, leave, please. And I was just like,
God.
and I looked around, and I was like, there's nobody here. Like we can't just have a conversation. There has to be money involved. Like I don't really like autographs at the time, and I'm not into.
Me neither.
I just want to have a one-on-one experience, and if that has to cost money, then I'm out. You know what I mean? Like
I've always thought that like the whole idea of paying to meet someone is kind of weird.
I hate
Like,
standing in those lines. It's weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then like what I get up to like say hi to you, and then you've got these handlers that are just like rushing everybody along. Like, I don't know. There's something that feels very disingenuous about it. Like, make your money. I'm not mad at you for making your money, but like, I don't know. There's just something that's always felt very disingenuous about it. But maybe it was because like I was a punk kid that like any band that I ever wanted to meet was just hanging out after the show. Like,
yeah, that's why punk music and independent wrestling are my favorite, because there's no barriers between you and the talent.
Exactly. It's so incredibly similar when I made the jump from one industry to the other. Like the longer I spent wrestling, I was just like, wow, this is a lot like touring.
Yeah. So so she didn't even get a chance to say a word to me, and she kind of head nodded, and her handler was like pretty much scramming me away. And I was like, all right. And then like a week later is when we lost her. And then you hear all the stories of all the people who were involved in her life were just scum. And that lady was probably one of the scum people.
Oh, it was. I'm sure. There. If you've ever, have you watched the documentary?
I watched the first half of it, and I couldn't finish it. It was too much.
It's hard. Yeah, it's a hard one to stomach, but you can just tell like just how many awful people were surrounding her, and like unfortunately probably still have some control of her estate too. Like, yeah, she just did not have good people around her, and like, God, it breaks my heart.
Yeah, it sucks, but like it's one of those things too where it's like it happened, but the positive of it is like it woke a lot of people up of what women's wrestling then turned into, and also how to conduct, like how to navigate some of these snakes in the business as well, you know?
Yeah.
Because even she was the strongest, the ninth wonder of the world, strongest woman in the world. She was still subjugated to a lot of this scummy, crappy things that happen to females in this industry. And like, if she was not immune to it, it's like it was very eye-opening. And I like it was around that same time where all the speaking up came up, and it was like, this is important, this is the stuff people need to hear, so this doesn't happen anymore, and everyone feels welcoming and safe in this industry.
And it's definitely made strides in that direction. I think it's got a long way to go, but I very much respect China for the vulnerability, especially that she had in making that like documentary and talking about just like some of the awful shit that she went through, because like that even years later, that's hard to talk about, man.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so China, big influence there.
Absolutely.
So start training and stuff like that. How long into your training before you get your first match, or you realize you start things start clicking for you?
Well, I'm a little different in the how long that I was training, because I think the majority of folks get like maybe 6 months to a year before they had their first match. You want to take a guess how long I was training before I had my first match?
Um, are we saying later or quicker
We're
than
saying
average?
later.
Okay.
We're saying later.
Uh, 2 years?
3.5.
3.5.
I was training for like 3.5 years before I had my first match. Yeah. Because
Now, were you fully dedicated training, or were you bouncing around from other venues?
well, that is the thing. I was bouncing a little bit. I wasn't fully dedicated at first. And I also broke each ankle in the time that I was
Oh,
training. So that's about like 6 months. I got weak little baby ankles. Uh, which maybe will tell you why I don't go to the top rope a whole lot, because I get scared sometimes. But
not a
yeah,
good characteristic for a scream queen either, have bad ankles.
no, not necessarily. I did ballet for like 10 years prior. So like I'd be talking to like I think it was the second time I broke my ankle. I was talking to Orange Cassidy, one of my trainers, and he's like, maybe you just have weak ankles from doing ballet for years. And I'm like, that's extremely possible, dude.
Did
Because
you?
years and years ago, he broke his leg the same way that I broke each ankle on a resorte, which if you've watched any Chikara stuff, there's a lot of those, and they're like kind of a pretty integral part of just the lucha libre style. But after the second time, I did my best. I've tried multiple times, and the second broken ankle, I was like, I don't think the universe wants me to do this particular move, so
Oh, it was the
I'm
same
just
move
gonna.
twice.
Yes,
What was the
same
move?
move. See, it was just a resorte, just like it's like a
Oh,
kip up.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a kip up, but like it's each time, and it was both my left and right ankle, it's like almost an exact year apart. Almost landed it, and I just go like
Oh,
gnarly. Yeah.
well, he's
So the
pretty good at
first,
kip ups now. That's
yeah,
kind
he
of.
sure is. He sure is.
Did you see his recent press conference after the show?
Of course I did.
Oh
Of
my god,
course I
what he says during that press conference was so good. How it's just like people. He's like, he goes, growing up, I didn't want to be, because that was the first time too where he kind of like broke a little bit and he had a legit
Mhm.
conversation. Because like when they brought them up, I was like, all right, a guy who speaks no English and Orange Cassidy are going to be part of a press conference at the same time.
It'll be great.
Yeah,
What could go wrong?
this is gonna be amazing. And just him saying like, because he's the wrestler that every single person that I got into wrestling within the past 2 years, if they've never watched it ever before, they see, all the top guys like the Romans and everything like that, and they like, oh, they're
Sure.
really good. But then they see Orange and they're like, this is my favorite wrestler. Like this is
Yeah.
because there's, and I like, and then they go back and do their research and they're like, it's still Orange. Like Orange is and I'm like, because he says it perfectly in this thing. I didn't want to be the next Jake the Snake. I didn't want to be the next. I wanted to be the first Orange Cassidy, and I wanted that character to be like nobody else ever before. And he fucking did it. Like he nailed it. Like it was.
He sure did.
Yeah,
And
it
he
is
is
hands down my
still
favorite character in professional wrestling.
he's the guy that so many of us go to if we have like a gimmick idea that we haven't fully fleshed out, or like he's always asking the questions of like, why is your character wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you what is your motivation here? The stuff that you don't necessarily think about when you're calling a match, and calling, like, even still calling matches just like last week or the week before, I'm just like, I don't really know why I would do this, because like most of the time you're just thinking of like, well, what's the finish? What's your big high spot that you're going to hit? What are your moves? And you're not really thinking about like, well, what is my motivation to want to beat this person?
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually like when you're thinking about that stuff, those are the best matches where that's the first question you're asking is, well, why? Why are you doing this in the first place? Which, sorry, I was getting asked
That's
to
okay.
quiet down a little bit. I get excited sometimes when I'm
I love
talking.
it. Well, listen, from that Chikara background, if you're going to pick anyone's brain when it comes to character work or in ring work, I think the two biggest ones you can go to there are Orange and Avery. Like
Yes.
Avery, another character person, like give him anything, he'll get it over. Like they're like, to me, they're the goats in this industry when it comes to like if you need to pick someone's brain about a character. But one thing, other thing
100%.
with Orange is another thing I love having the conversation, or I do a lot of live streams with people where we watch TV and then talk to like a live stream people, and every single time everyone's like, I hate this guy, I can't stand him, I don't get it, I don't do. And then by the end of the match, they're like, he's so good. And then like their brain resets, and then they see him next week, and they're like, I hate this guy. And I'm like, by the end of the match, you're gonna love him. So why start with the hate? And they're like, you know what, you're 100% right. His title match with the triple threat to this day is still my favorite. Like him, Kenny, and Pac, where like I almost thought the whole time like they're gonna put the title on. They're gonna put the title on. I'm like, seeing him in Wembley was the coolest thing ever. Like I got to go to Wembley.
I was about to say, you were at Wembley, bro.
I was there. There's the scarf right there. I was there. So to see Orange in Wembley and have that character change where he got like sadistic with the glass, like fucking amazing. I know I love WWE. I love all wrestling, but I'm definitely more pro AEW just because knowing the history of most of our Northeast wrestling scene and how all of it is essentially on that brand, and then like they continue to bring in more amazing people. I like Willow. I'll root for Willow every day of the week. You know what I mean?
Adore
like
Willow.
Yeah, it's just
so
I don't
happy
know.
that I got to wrestle her before she blew up.
Yeah.
It's in a random dropkick depression scramble if you want to go find that on IWTV, but it happened. It did happen.
Yeah, she did one at camp. She had a Camp Leapfrog appearance.
Yes.
And then the last time I seen her on an independent show was Avery Good's last show at the brewery. Yep. Yeah, that was like the last time, but so talented. One of my favorites. And then her blowing up it makes me super happy. But yeah, that's what I kind of want to segue into is you look at what you see on TV and you have the resources to kind of pick those people's brains. How much fun is it to keep, making this art with your friends and seeing some of your friends on that higher level?
It's so like, I'm trying to find the word for like fulfilling. I just like seeing good people get what they deserve and seeing hard work pay off. So like in the case of Willow, I've had like a few friends that have gotten to do dark, and it's just really cool getting to see people succeed. And like, yeah, I think that's as far as that thought went.
Yeah. I being in Wembley, I just like when Orange came out, and then Chuck and Taylor and like all those like and seeing all of them, I was just like this, like they were wrestling in fire halls where I like
sometimes it doesn't hit me right away.
It's so like, and for me, Wembley's like a bucket list. Like Queen, God, yeah. Like all those bands that played at Wembley. Like I still watch the Foo Fighters Wembley show every now and then on Blu-ray. Like, and then to like, this is pro wrestling, and it's this underdog company of just independent darlings who started this, and they're in fucking Wembley Stadium, and there's allegedly 81,000 people there.
Right, and
it was packed, but it was a little short, but it was packed.
It gives me a lot of faith that people can have careers outside of WWE too, because WWE has been such a monopoly on the industry for so long that like not only is AEW an option now, but like people are having incredibly successful careers just on the independents. Like it's people are making like plenty of money and never have to worry about like getting signed or being on TV, and like get to live comfortably that way. That is awesome. Yeah. I wish that, I hope that happens for more people.
And AEW is that company too that allows them to go and still work the independent scene or show up at like, hey, you can work your buddy's show, and then they show up, and then it's just like once again that punk rock mentality where it's like this person just wrestled on TV, and like we see them at an independent show, and we can go have a legit conversation with them. Like that's right. Important.
I talked to this with my friends in wrestling and my friends outside of it too, where like it felt like for a while we had lost the idea, like the punk scene was just referred to as the scene for so long. But why were we calling it a scene? Because it's a bunch of people helping each other out. When one person blows up, you bring your buddies with you, and you consistently just like, what is the saying? Like high tide rises all boats, something like that.
Yeah.
And for a while, it kind of felt like we got away from that. But I've been seeing it more and more often, and I'm seeing it in wrestling with AEW, with like the deal that AEW now has with ROH. And it's getting more people who deserve it, the TV time and the eyes on them. And if anybody can make a living doing what they love, then I want to see that happen for them.
Yeah, completely agree. So when did the magic happen between you and Boomer, now then Boomer,
Then
now
Boomer.
now Weber, when this tag team formed, and what does it mean to you that this friendship and tag team has spawned?
Also, then Molly. That's the one of
Yes.
the funniest
He may
things
have
is
called
there
you
are
Molly a couple times during the podcast, but he goes, "No one else can
oh
say it except me. I still mess up.
well,
I've known her for hundreds of years."
that's fine. Weber does it every other match. It's very there was like one time where he called me Molly like 7 times in a match. It was very funny. Um, but the funniest thing is there are people who think Molly McCoy and Shea McCoy are two different people. That's hysterical to me. Where I've had to be like, do y'all not realize that I changed my name. I changed my name. That's all that I did, and it's the same person. But we were not supposed to be a tag team initially. We got paired up together for like 2 shows where we were supposed to get squashed and then like hate each other for the rest of our days. But we didn't know that that was the story going into it. So we just started working on tag stuff and we were like, all right, we really like working together. And I am one of those people who unfortunately just assumes that people don't like me, which I know it's not true, but in my brain I just assume like no, nobody likes you. Weber doesn't want to tag with you. It's not gonna last that long. But Weber is now like one of my absolute best friends on the planet. Sweetest human being, so incredibly talented, so grateful to get to work with him all the time that like and he has constantly been pushing for this tag team to like reach higher goals and get these big matches and it's so extremely exciting to we've now held 2 tag titles
Big
and
Wood,
the big wood
still one of my
800
favorite
days
moments.
800 days with the big wood, right? Oh dude, I was not expecting to cry when that happened and then I did because we also got to wrestle Crumbles and Defarge when we won the big wood
Hmm.
and I think that was maybe only the second time we'd ever wrestled them after like training with them for years and they debuted before us and we got to see a bunch of the awesome stuff that they've done. Would wrestle them any day of the week. Immensely talented tag team. But yeah, it's just been great to grow as a team and I love tag team wrestling. I love multi-man matches. I feel like a lot of wrestlers don't. But that's I'll campaign for tags and scrambles and multi-mans. I think it's some of the most fun that I have in wrestling and if I've just consistently doing tags instead of singles, like I would be thrilled to be doing that. And to get to be in an intergender tag team too and push for more intergender wrestling is that's we talked about me being a massive China fan and wanting to see it more on TV now that I want this tag team to blow up and I want tag teams like Abby and Pancakes to blow up and to
Hmm.
see more intergender wrestling in tag and singles on the indies,
Yeah.
on TV, everywhere.
The only you just kind of brought up the only other tag team that I can think of off the top of my head that is an intergender tag team. It's a question I asked Weber. I'll ask you again. Do you think it's something that holds you guys back when it goes to like when you go to other promotions or try to get booked other places? Because like you said, not all promotions are into the mixed tag or they force you into a mixed tag rules where you if like the man tags in, he can only wrestle the man type deal. And like, do you think that it's harder to get that over more on the scene?
It's back and forth. It's really back and forth. Like sometimes people will seem really high on it and want to book it and put it at the forefront. And then like the tides will turn and suddenly people will just not be so into it anymore and want to book us to do single stuff and keep it like no mixed gender stuff. But like dude, I can't tell you how many times I've made the argument being non-binary, like they're all
Mhm.
intergender matches.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
it like it truly like I do not see the difference. We all train together. We're all trained by the same people And like it's I'm gonna say the bad word, but pro wrestling's fake. We all know it's fake. We all know it's theater.
100%.
We all and now that we are kind of living in an age of it being meta, where everybody's in on the joke, or I
Kayfabe
guess
was
not to call
just
it
put
a
in the
joke.
dictionary
Exactly,
just to like
exactly.
this week.
But everybody understands now it's a performance art, and I'm sorry, are we still doing Shakespeare plays where the men are played by women? Like,
Yeah.
why? Why is this still a thing in wrestling? Like we talked about, I get it makes people uncomfortable to see simulated violence between men and women. But Mia Yim actually wrote a fantastic article. Mia Yim has been a champion of intergender wrestling for years and years now, where she wrote about having gone through a domestic violence situation and being an intergender wrestler, and just the shit she would get from people being like, well, how is that any different? And being really disrespectful about the whole thing, where she's like, because when I get in the ring, there is consent and an agreement, and it's an unspoken agreement between wrestlers. And I wish that, fans understood that a bit more, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the horror community has the same thing too. Like, there's a lot of people who, when I try to like talk horror movies with, they don't want to hear it because that like domestic violence and a lot of other things that happen in horror movies are very prevalent. But it's just like, it's horrible, but that's kind of like, it's not real, and it's supposed to put you in those uncomfortable positions. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying
Yeah,
to
that's the
dance
whole
around it
point
without
of
saying the
horror.
actual terminology, because terms of service on social media. But yeah,
Right.
it's tough. It's not like I one of my favorite movies because of the revenge aspect, and it's one of the coolest movies when it comes to like gore and how the girl gets the revenge. But it's like, I Spit on Your Grave. Hard to
I
watch
love
that
I Spit on Your
beginning,
Grave. I
but
wear an
after,
I Spit on Your Grave shirt to the
yeah,
ring
yeah,
on a
but
pretty regular basis.
so good. The remake is like
I
just as good
love
as the original too.
I love to. Have you seen the movie Revenge?
No,
Revenge was fantastic.
I have to
It
check
is
that one out.
very much like a I cannot say the actual terminology for what
Yeah, yeah,
kind of a
yeah.
movie it is, but it is in that same vein of I Spit on Your Grave, and you get to see this woman just take revenge and be such a badass. And there is a moment early in the movie where they are watching wrestling, and I was trying to figure out what match it was, but I cannot figure it out. There is wrestling playing like on a screen in the background.
Do you ever see
So,
the guy on TikTok who will take a clip from a movie where like sports are playing in the background, and he'll hyper focus and go back and find the game and everything and put it like that? That would be fun in wrestling. Like, well,
I gotta
oh,
talk to
this is
him.
clip. Yeah.
I gotta talk to that guy and see if he can find me what wrestling match they're watching in Revenge.
Yeah. So this another I kind of want to dive into Camp Leapfrog. You kind they put the ball in your core a little bit when it came to a Halloween show where they
They
said,
did.
listen, they know your passions, and that's one of my favorite things about Camp Leapfrog as well. And I hope it becomes more of a thing. I've been petitioning Alex, I love you, but please do more of those showcase shows. I love them. Like, you know what
Right.
I mean? Like
Steve
Frog
Mikowski's
Sport,
Frog
amazing.
Sport.
Yeah,
That's
Killing
so
Vision, the
good.
whole nine. But
Had a lot of fun.
you got to put together your own little mini horror movie
I
via
did.
professional wrestling, and it was magical because you got to
Thank
do it
you.
with you got to do it with Weber, as well
Yes.
as Ultraman is Black
And
and
Hollow
Hollow Wicked.
Wicked,
Yeah.
right? Oh, and getting to wrestle Spectral Envoy was already like a dream match that I never thought I would get to do because Mantis retired before I
Mm-hmm.
even debuted. So I was like, man, I'm never gonna get to do a show with Mantis, and now I've gotten to wrestle him. So
Twice, right? You wrestled them for that,
twice.
and then at Avery's last match.
The brewery, yeah, there was a big
Yeah,
multi-man that I got to wrestle Mantis in
with the
that
band
for.
playing beforehand, which was
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, amazing. I wound up working a lot of shows now. Like I just worked 2 shows in the last month that were like half wrestling, half hardcore show, and
They're so good.
they're
I
so
love that
much fun.
music and breweries are all mixing with professional. I've been petitioning that for during the pandemic. I'm like, if we can mix these together, it's going to be so much fun.
Yes, it's. I was gonna mention it when we were talking about Rhea, that like there is such a crossover audience there
Mm-hmm.
between music and wrestling, and a lot of like people on TikTok are discovering Rhea because Rhea's a huge metal fan. She has Chris
Mhm.
Motionless singing her music. So now you've got like the Motionless in White has a huge fan base and they're now all coming over to Rhea. Like that is so awesome that now like imagine if you put on a wrestling show and you had Motionless in White playing it headlining.
Yeah. And
That I
her
feel
style and look, like everybody's like, oh, we could be emo goth again and alt. Let's do that.
right?
Like everyone's leaning
Yes.
into it. Like everyone's like, yeah, like what's her name? I'm a huge fan of her in NXT. Thea Hale. Now she's
Yes.
leaning into like the alt look. I'm like, this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
great.
yeah. I was at Motionless put on a big festival in Scranton a few weeks ago called Apocalypse Fest, and I think there was a WWE tent there. I think WWE was a sponsor of
Really?
it because I saw a bunch of people walking around with WWE bags, and I tried like walking around to try to find this tent. Like, where are y'all getting this stuff from? But I couldn't find it.
I
It was a
also
lot of people.
I love that Rhea is leaning into the she's being sexualized, but she's in control of all of it, which I
Yes.
really love when females take that power away. So and like where she's just like, oh yeah, you're my dom, like you know what I mean, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm doming dom, you know what I mean, like
yeah.
or the Monday Night Mommy and like just so
Right.
good. It's so
When there was the
good.
interview, there was the interview where someone was like, "How do you feel about like people calling you mommy?" And she's like, "Continue, it's
Yeah,
great."
please keep going. Yeah.
So good.
So during that horror sequence, you got to put together a lot of fun stuff. One of my favorites that kind of spawned from that too was Tyrant and JC Storm, and when they were doing
Oh
like the
my god.
Scooby Doo run. That
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
fun. But the highlight, and I'm very happy that I was in the skit, so I'm in it. I know I wasn't on a lot of camera, but this one I'm in, and it meant a lot because I remember just like how we were brainstorming, like, oh, we want to recreate the rules of a horror movie and have everyone sit around like Scream. And then I'm like,
Yes,
we should put
literally.
Scream on the TV. And then we had it on the TV as we were doing, like, so like it looked like we were watching Scream, and also Jet was doing the rules of a horror movie, but doing them wrong.
And I don't think Jet had ever seen Scream, but I was like, if any of us should be the Jamie Kennedy in this situation, it's Jet Chigori.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Anyone need a beer? I'll be right back. We're like, no! But once again, head over to High Tension YouTube and check out all of their contents back on there, so you can go and watch that full show. It is definitely worth. All the Halloween shows there were always done very, very well.
I wonder how many people catch it. I don't think a lot of people catch. I have to explain the match itself between Outfielders and Spectral Envoy, because there's a ton of references in my little horror short. Because it was my little horror short, of course, I'm going to throw in a bunch of references to like Scream and Hocus Pocus and Halloween. But the match itself is nearly a shot for shot remake of the last 13 minutes of Halloween, where Michael Myers is chasing Laurie Strode.
Yeah. Looking over the ropes and they're no longer there, but then they're behind you. Yeah.
Because Hollow Wicked also absolutely loves Halloween to the shock of nobody. So when I first told him the idea, I was like, oh, I really hope he's gonna go for this idea because he's the big vet. He was my trainer. He can always shoot me down. And I was like, here's the idea. I know it's ambitious, but what do you think? And he just like goes, who's gonna be our Dr. Loomis? And I was like, he's on board. He's on board. Yes.
That's so awesome. So and then you kind of brought in, because you have done other horror projects, correct? Like outside of professional wrestling, you have done like independent horror film or stuff like that. You were kind of saying like you were involved in some stuff.
I was involved in music before I was involved in wrestling, but I did work at a haunted house for 6 years
That's what it was, yeah.
before.
Because you said you would go
Yeah,
to the gas
kind of.
station still covered in blood and stuff.
Did that a couple times. Yeah, I worked for a haunted house as a manager for like 6 years or so. So basically, my entire job was walk around dressed as a zombie nurse, making sure my actors drank water and got their breaks. And it was probably the most I ever got paid to scream at people. So can't be mad about that. Probably the most fun job that I ever had. Exhausting, but very similar pacing to wrestling, actually. You'll find out a lot
Have you
of
ever
wrestlers working on
been
that.
in an independent horror movie or anything like that?
I can't say that I have. No,
We're gonna
but I
speak that. We're gonna
definitely
speak that into existence.
we're gonna manifest it. It's gonna happen.
My first interview I've ever done for the podcast is a guy who has written and directed now his third independent horror film.
Hell
And
yeah.
maybe I can link you guys together. He did this one. It's called Backroad the movie, and they're all based
Okay.
out of Pennsylvania. And it's like
Nice.
Wrong Turn meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Sick. Good.
Yeah, with a lot of like, so this movie has been, I'll tell you more off camera about it because
Okay.
it's a lot of horror tropes that like people talk about when it comes to like what you're not supposed to do, but it's been banned in like 4 different, like it's been banned in Germany, and like
That's how you
they
know
wouldn't
it's
put it
good.
on Shudder. Yeah, they wouldn't put it on Shudder. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But for being an independent film, it's shot very well. Like the gore, once again, I'll have to tell you off camera, but there's a scene in it and I was like, oh, you went for it. And it's not like a cutaway. Like you found prosthetics and made it. And I was like, holy crap. Like
Oh no.
we watched the movie in my house, and I didn't really know the guy, and we're watching this film and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, he knows where I live now. But it was really good. But yeah, he's I think he's filming part 2 to that as we speak. So I'll definitely I'll tell him you're interested. You're a giant horror fan. Maybe we can get you involved in somehow. I know
Get Shea more acting creds.
he wants to do a horror wrestling project soon.
Say less.
So I'll definitely, and I know he wants to film it at the Sanctuary. We're trying to do it at the Sanctuary in Hazleton, the church.
Okay.
So he wants to do
familiar.
like a Toxic Avenger / wrestling horror, like where the performers get done up like characters and like commentary are monsters. Like it's gonna be insane.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great.
So that's in the work once this movie's done. So maybe we'll I'll put you in contact if one of the people who can come out and get in costume or something or figure it out.
Hell yeah! I've never been so down. Speaking my language.
Yeah. So bucket lists. We kind of talked a little bit about it in the beginning. We'll end it here with Spooky again. Okay. Actually, one more wrestling question, then we'll go to Spooky.
Okay.
Some people you've worked, or you like, so some of your favorite matches you've worked, and then on the flip side of that, some people that you haven't worked but you want to.
Whew. Okay. Some of my favorite people I've worked. Kings of the District, Jordan Blade and Neil O'Neill. I've loved every single match that I have had with them and would absolutely work them any day of the week. The Goons as well, Killian McMurphy, Miles Millennium, all those guys. Awesome. Adore them. Cyberhawks. Had an awesome match with the Cyberhawks that we were super proud of at Flying V. Go watch Flying V on IWTV. And people that I want to work, I feel like there's such a huge swath of people that I've been in the business for a little over 4 years now, and there's still so many people that I have not gotten the opportunity to work with. I've still never gotten to wrestle Effie. I want to wrestle Effie real bad. I want Bussy versus Outfielders. I think that would be so much
when I was
fun.
thinking of intergender tag, how did I not think of
Bussy?
That's the number one. I'm sorry, but that's the like when you think of like top, like they're killing. They were GCW tag team champions at one point.
They were. Wow. I think it's because like they are so exclusively like GCW, and like they are like the GCW like top tag team. I would say that like in the chance that the Outfielders get brought into GCW, which like, hey, why the heck not?
Yeah.
That's we've worked GCW events before. I would love to come in and work Bussy. I would love to work Dark Sheik. Dark Sheik is an incredible wrestler, and I admire everything that she's done with oh, I'm gonna look like such a dick forgetting the name of her promotion in California. You know which one I'm talking about.
I'm not sure. Is it the deathmatch one?
No, it's Sheik runs a promotion, or she may not anymore, but ran a promotion in like Oakland in California. And I know Edith has wrestled before. Yeah, that's oh my God.
The first time I ever seen Sheik wrestle was at No Peace Underground, and it was like a bar show, but they wrestled on the stage, and Shotzi was in the crowd, and like she didn't want to be on camera, but she wanted to hug Sheik. Like, yeah, that's when Effie and Paro wrestled for the
yes,
it was like a last man standing on the throne.
It was so good. It was
I actually
Sheik
bought
and
the
Trish
event
Adora.
shirt where it's the pentagram, but it's like the pride flag in the pentagram with
Amazing.
I was like, I think it says what does it say? On the back it says fear the gay agenda on the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a really good one of my first, like, I was one of the first deathmatch shows I've ever watched from beginning to end was that No Peace Underground show.
I remember that whole show being really good. It was Sheik versus Trish Adora on it. And I had never really
Yeah.
seen Trish do like no ring stuff, but she was fantastic because it's Trish Adora. When is she not? Somebody else that I have never gotten to wrestle and would love to.
You know who two matchups, and I'm kind of putting them over because they're on the podcast, and it's about bringing people up punk style, but I think they're really good and they're young and they're out of Cheeseburger School. Journey Burke
Okay.
and Harleen Lopez.
Yes, I did. I wrestled Harleen. It was Harleen and I think TJ Reno versus me and Weber at Orochi Pro. And Harleen like only just started maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. She
Her
hasn't been around for long.
passion is contagious. Like when I was interviewing her, she was on the verge of tears because she's so in love with this business and the art of professional wrestling. Like I'm rooting so hard for her. She's such a good human.
Me too. Love her a lot.
Yeah.
And yes, I've seen Journey too. She pops up on my TikTok all the time. We have a very similar taste in music. I think she put the main as the background to one of her training videos, and I was like, "Oh my god, great taste!"
Yeah, I told her short TikToks are really good. Like she's doing like short little TikTok vlogs of like going to wrestling shows and stuff. And I said it's a good follow. Like she's a good TikTok follow. Yeah,
she is. Yeah, everybody go follow Journey.
And she like I said, love emo alt kid at heart as well. So it all works out. So top 5, or we'll just say bucket list horror movies. If you tell people they have to see, what would they be?
Oh, the must see top 5. Oh geez. Okay. Scream, Candyman, the original one.
Did you like the remake?
I liked it, but wanted to love it.
Okay.
That's I understand that the first Candyman is definitely problematic in a lot of ways and does not make a lot of sense. And I'm very glad that they addressed that, and it's kind of, I don't want to say fixed it, but they did address it. And in the sequel remake guy, they had a lot of really good ideas with the sequel remake. But it felt like they were trying to fit all of them into this one movie when they could have just focused on like one or two really good ideas. So there's a few things I really loved about it, but it felt a little all over the place. And like I adore Tony Todd and always want to see more Tony Todd. He follows me on Twitter. That's probably my biggest, like,
That's your flex?
I followed a bunch of people at once, and Tony Todd was one of the people that happened to pop up, and I was like, yeah, I'll follow Tony Todd, why not? And then I see Tony Todd followed you back. I was like, what?
Yeah, weeping.
Yes, absolutely. So I said Scream, OG Candyman, Saw 2, because it's the best of the Saw movies. Evil Dead.
1 or 2?
1.
Okay.
I rank 2 probably the lowest. Because Army of Darkness is my favorite movie of all time, but it's not a horror movie.
Remake Evil Dead?
I did like Remake Evil Dead.
I loved it.
I did really like Remake Evil Dead. Arguably more than original. Like I might say Remake Evil Dead.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
And I'm gonna throw in kind of a curveball here. This was a really good movie that came out super recently that I didn't hear enough people talk about, called The Night House.
I don't know heard of that one.
It's The Night House was really good. It's without giving too much away, it's about a woman who suspects that her husband is a serial killer.
I like it. You know what one got me just because it was so wildly different? It Follows.
I did not like It Follows.
Really? I thought that was so fucking creepy. Like you don't know what it is, and it's just walking, and it could be anyone or anything. Like I thought that was kind of weird. The whole like sexually transmitted disease part of it was kind of weird. But
it's I think the part that I didn't like about it was like it established the rules as any horror movie does, and then it just didn't follow them, and there were no consequences.
Yeah.
Like there were definitely situations where it's like, all right, that person should be dead, and why are they not dead? Like what?
Yeah.
It's
The other one that's kind of like that one that just recently came out was Smile, but instead of like sexually
I like
transmitted disease,
Smile.
it was like unaliving yourself in front of somebody, which was dark.
So,
But the only thing that
so
ruined that one, when you see the fucking monster at the end, when you see the
right, you don't need
Smile
to see
creature,
it.
it ruined it. I was like, this character looks stupid. It ruined
Right,
it all
and
for
then it
me.
was a cornball looking monster. Like,
Yeah, fucked it
God,
up.
that was so dumb. Oh my God, I left out Hereditary. How did I leave out Hereditary?
I have not, that's on my list as well. Hereditary is one I have not seen yet, but everyone says amazing.
I'm a big Ari Aster fan. I loved Hereditary. I loved Midsommar. They are
Midsommar, I
definitely
did see. That movie was bonkers good.
absolutely insane.
I love horror movies where it believability and it's like you're like, because everyone's like, oh, I would just get out this way, but like Midsommar is like, where are you going? Where are you going?
You're stuck with the cult.
Yeah, you're in a cult. You're out. You're not leaving. Like, because the second they hint that you may want out, you're killing. You're dead. So you have to play along. Like you have
you're
to.
in a foreign country. You don't speak the language. You don't know how
have you all hopped up on drugs.
Yeah.
Everybody's you're in for the ride. Just put the bear costume on. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, honestly, just accept your fate at that point.
I'm gonna be honest. I probably would have died immediately in that movie. Because the second I would have ate that pie and drank that lemonade, that would have been it for me. That'd have been like off me.
I don't want the grass growing on my feet. That's weird. I want that. Nope. Let me get out. I am not gonna be the May Queen.
And the cliff scene, the very beginning, I'd have been like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Definitely go watch that movie if you haven't.
Yeah, talk about like just building the tension up. Holy crap.
Who else on the wrestling scene is fun to talk horror movies with? Like, who is someone that when you see them, you're like, oh, like that's your horror person?
Oh, you know who you might not expect? Danger Hawk.
Really?
Danger Hawk of the Cyberhawks. I know there are two Danger Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
But Danger Hawk's a big horror guy, which I didn't realize at first. I think until we were talking Scream, because Scream is one of his favorites. And like anytime, like when the new Scream came out, he DM'd me and was like, "You see it yet? Did you see it yet? What'd you think? Did you see it yet?" That's he's a huge horror guy. Anytime I see him, we wind up talking horror. Who else?
Are you looking forward to the new Fast Freddy or whatever the hell it's called? It's like the
Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah. I've never played the games. Lillard. I know nothing, but Matthew Lillard's in it. That's exactly the only reason I'm going to see it. Yeah.
And I adore Matthew Lillard. Yeah.
He needs to be in more movies.
He does, and I did enjoy the games. I love a good horror game. I wish if I had more people to consistently play them with, I would totally like Twitch stream horror games playing like Dead by Daylight and stuff like that.
They're making a Ghostface game. And it's made by the people who made The Quarry. So it's going to be like one of those like pick and choose your adventure style games. Not like so much you're in control the whole time, but it's going to be you are like with 5 people and you have to pick and choose and find out how like figure out who Ghostface is, but then also like survive. Like I cannot wait. I've been playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre like crazy. I can't stop. It's been really fun. It's kind of like it's like the Dead by Daylight, but it's like more on the vein of like how Friday the 13th was, because it's made the same people who did Friday the 13th. But you play as there's 4 victims and then there's 3 family members. So and you can pick between different family members. It's so much fucking fun.
You know what horror game I still really need to play? I just like could not invest the time into it. And this is a game you need to invest time into. The Last of Us Part 2.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't played that one either. I started playing The Evil Dead and then everyone leveled up too high. And then I felt like I sucked too much and then I couldn't play and I didn't enjoy it. They're also making a Killer Clowns from Outer Space video game.
Stop. Are they really?
Yep.
I got to tell Paige, who's the photographer for High Tension. She was just texting me earlier today and is like, have you seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space? I have an idea. And I still need to listen to what her idea was because she just sent me like 3 audio messages after that. But
she's fantastic. We just went to see Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper together.
Yeah, she was telling me about it.
That was awesome. So fucking fun. But yeah, that's all good. The my favorite one I had a conversation with, I used to do like a lot of meet and greets with PPW, so I would sit like with TV people and just hang out with them for 3-4 hours. Brian Cage is a fun horror movie conversation. Like his favorite movie of all time is Army of Darkness. Yeah, we talk comic books and Army of and horror movies for hours. It was a lot of.
That's so funny.
It was a really good time.
I share a favorite movie with Brian Cage. When I was just in Salem, I found a shirt that was the poster was the Japanese release of Army of Darkness. So it's, so it's like Ash on the cliff with the girl on his leg, and then in Japanese all around it says Army of Darkness. It's so cool.
My go-to horror things, especially when I get money again, is I love Fright Rags. I've interviewed Ben from Fright Rags a couple times. I love their clothing. I think they're at upstate New York the upstate New York area, but they make really good horror movie stuff. But well, listen, I kept you longer. I'm sorry. We got excited.
It's quite all right. Oh, how dare you? How dare you talk to me about wrestling and horror movies?
Yeah, but listen, when the Not Cool in High School kicks back up, maybe come on and we'll review a movie together.
Okay, yeah,
we'll do some of that. Let me know some movies that maybe we talked a few of them here that I've never seen. Maybe we'll do that way. But where can people follow and find you? I know you do like to separate wrestling and your personal stuff, so I don't want to put certain things out there if that's not what you want people to find. So where can people follow you?
Thank you, I appreciate that. Best place to follow me, because I'm really not on like the Twitter or X or whatever we want to call it anymore, other than to share like what wrestling events are coming up. I am at Lana Del Shea on TikTok, and I'm very active on there. So I would recommend following me over on there.
All right, there it is. That's where you follow Shea. Anywhere else, you are not getting approved.
Nope. Not happening.
I completely listen. If I didn't have to do this podcast, I would delete all social media. I hate doing it. It's literally copy and paste. It's like every platform clip, and I'm out of there.
The amount of friend requests that you get on Facebook after you debut, where you're like, "Who are you people?" I felt like Patrick at the end of that SpongeBob episode, where like everybody's at his house. I'm like, "Who are you people?"
Yeah. But we'll definitely put that in the link below. And thank you so much. Do you guys have a Brainbuster tees or a pro wrestling tees for Outfielders merch?
We had a Brainbuster tees. The link may still be on my Twitter. But man, that would be a good thing for me to talk to Weber.
I'll put that in the links below as well. So I'm actually working on some. I have way too many independent wrestling t-shirts, and like what was the other shirts? I have too like local band t-shirts, and I don't have space for them anymore, and I don't want to get rid of them because they're like, especially like I have like Willow's first indie shirt. I have the Outfielders baseball and the like. So I have a friend she's gonna make me for the background here like a big giant wall tapestry. And I'm gonna make it like a giant like quilt / wall tapestry and put all of the independent wrestling shirts on a quilt, so I can still have them and display them and show support everybody. And it's not taking up totes and totes and totes full of t-shirts anymore.
A good idea. I have
between wrestling shirts and horror movie t-shirts. I have way too many.
I have one of those quilts like that with like every tour that I've ever worked, which like was not that many, but it's still really cool to look back on that and be like, oh my God, I remember that show after years of like not remembering that show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time again. Anytime you want to come on, please. The door's always open. And let's talk some horror movies again. Let's do more horror movie content.
Yes, let's go. Thank you, Anthony.
Not a problem. Anytime. Make sure you check the links below to support myself as well as my guest here today. Killing it on the scene. Go buy some Outfielders merch because it's really, really good. I have the Outfielders Outsiders version. There's the baseball tees, all really good stuff. Go support, follow on social media, and tell more. Put it out on Twitter. Let's do this at Effie Bussy versus Outfielders. Let's get it done. Use the power of social media. Yes, let's get it trending.
Make that happen.
All I'm saying is, the Outfielders are a very, very Philly-based team. Mania's coming to Philly. What better tag team match on one of the collective shows? Maybe Effie's big gay brunch. Yes, that'd be
Tony Khan. Why not?
Let's get it done. Effie versus Outfield, or Bussy versus Outfielders.
Bussy versus Outfielders.
Here's some music by the Converse Kid. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.
Thank you.